when West Indies defeated Afghanistan in St. Lucia, there were murmurings and there was talk that this present West Indies squad is better than the 2016 squad. There were arguments. However, that argument is now laid to rest as that team won the World Cup. This team never even made it to the semifinals. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, good evening, good night, wherever you may be. I really appreciate your company and I thank you for being here. As we react to the West Indies being knocked out of the 2024 T20 Cricket World Cup, this evening I have along with me Bobby Brown, who has not been here for a while. Welcome, Bobby Brown. We also welcome Roger Tracy and Andre Douglas, our commentator and analyst. Good evening, gentlemen, and welcome.
Good evening, and welcome to the Cricket Forum family.
Good evening, Carlton, and good evening to all your viewers, Andre and Bobby. Good to see you guys.
Yes, good evening to my fellow panelists and the Cricket Forum family and all the viewers over the world, wherever you may be.
It appears that our captain is a very unlucky man. For none of the important toss, he win. We needed to win the toss in St. Lucia against England. We lost the toss. We needed to win the toss again in Antigua against South Africa, and we lost the toss. It was a subdued, humble, depressed, and obviously hurt Rovman Powell that entered the press conference room on Monday morning. Some of the reporters even wondered if he had been crying. But nonetheless, to his credit, like a true Jamaican, he faces up to the press and answered their question, knowing fully well that he have not made enough runs in this tournament, and particularly in the South Africa match, his captaincy decisions were questioned. The first question that was put to Rovman Powell was to ask Rovman what did he think that the team did wrong in the tournament and in the match in particular. He was asked to say what were the deficiencies he could point out to in the match. This was Rovman Powell's response.
I think when you look on the larger picture, is a disappointing World Cup. You know, we wanted to win just like any other team, but you know we weren't able to win tonight. You know, I think as a team we played some good cricket. We played good cricket in patches. You know, and tonight was a night where our batters were 15, 20 runs short on a difficult wicket.
Bobby, you were here first, so let me start with you. What are your take on that response from Rovman Powell?
I could understand where he's coming from. You know, those are my views too. I think we did not make enough runs. You know, I think he's saying the bowlers tried, but the batters kind of let us down in the end. Like he said, it was a disappointing tournament because I felt like we really had a legitimate chance of winning it.
Okay, thank you very much, Bobby. Roger, your reaction to what Rovman Powell said there?
Generally, I think Rovman was honest in his assessment. I believe this West Indian team had the potential to go very deep into this tournament, but potential only gets you so far. I think execution, you obviously have to execute, in the right ways. And I think a lot of times, especially during the sort of, big games and big moments, the team was found wanting. I think if you really put this into context, yes, the West Indies had a good team. But at the end of the day, I think if you really sort of look at our team, from top to bottom, there are some obvious holes. And a lot of times we did not play the situations correctly. So, overall, in the grand scheme of things, I think we can put it down and say, you know what, based on the abilities of this team, based on the form of this team, Super 8s was probably a fair reflection of where we are at this point.
Andre, did West Indies make enough runs in the matches that they played? Was there an issue with the batting?
I think that the West Indies for most of the matches they did what they were supposed to do in terms of making enough runs. The two matches they lost, of course. I think that the batting let us down. And the against England when we made although it was 180 on that pitch, that 180 was just not enough. And even though the last game against South Africa 135 wasn't going to be enough at all. So even though the pitch was difficult, that was not going to cut it. And even though the bowlers bowled fairly well, and throughout the series, the bowlers must be commended. I thought the bowlers did well overall. The batting let us down on those two very important occasions.
And sticking with you, Andre, the next thing Ravman Paul was asked about, he was asked about the emotion of the players and how did the big, massive crowd in St. Lucia affect the emotion of the team. This is what Ravman Powell said in response to that question.
No, to be honest, the emotions was leveled in the sense where the guys left the hotel wanting to play for the people of the Caribbean, wanting to win, and we just weren't successful tonight, and it's sports, it's a game of cricket, and those things do happen.
Andre, as I said.
Yeah, I mean, they would have had a big crowd at Barbados too. So the crowd at Antigua was just about the same as Barbados, and they did pretty well. I think the crowd, gave them great inspiration, and even Trinidad, the three games, I think Trinidad, Barbados, and in Antigua, the crowd would have given them a great deal of lift, but it was just not to be though. Even though the crowd was very very supportive, it was just not to be for them.
And Roger, in the end, in that clip just now, I think Powell said it's just another game of cricket, it's just sport, something like this. Those West Indians living in England and the United States who have to go to work this morning and have to deal with that defeat, is it just sports for them?
No, absolutely not. I think the fans are, emotionally invested. And to be honest, it does take quite a while for us to get over, a defeat like this. Especially when you look at the overall context and you look at it and you say, it's a tournament of missed opportunities. Again, the Westerners were not necessarily the best team in the tournament, but in a tournament like this, you need some luck. You need things to go your way for you to go deep into the tournament, for you to win. But as fans, we saw obvious areas where if we had made better decisions, if we had played the situations correctly as a management team, in terms of player selections, in terms of our strategic approach, if we had just made the right calls, we saw where we missed an opportunity and we could have done better in the tournament. But again, overall, it is sports. We understand a team has to win and a team has to lose. But as cricket fans, we definitely take it, a little bit more to heart than that for sure.
Thank you very much. What's your response to that comment, Bobby?
I mean, yeah, at the end of the day, it's just sports. We're sad, we're disappointed, but we have to move on. We have to take the good from this World Cup. We've been looking better. This is one of our better tournaments in a long while. We didn't qualify for the last one. The one before that, we won one game at the group stage. Before that, where we were. So, yeah, it's just sports. It's sad, but we just have to move on. And the great thing is the team is improving. We've seen some improvement from the guys. We've seen some more commitment from the guys. I don't know if it's because the crowd. Absolutely love the crowds that were there. I had a friend. He was in Antigua. He told me he couldn't party after. He was so disappointed. Maybe because he was at the crowd, but he told me he was so disappointed. But yeah, we just have to move on.
What we saw in St. Lucia, we are a number of persons who were saying that the team looked nervous. Did you pick up the team being nervous on Sunday night, or you think they dealt with the emotion quite well?
I thought so. When we were when we were batting, I thought we were nervous, and maybe that's why we kind of didn't follow the game plan. I don't know what was the game plan, but we definitely looked kind of nervous. Puran and Hope, they looked kind of nervous, but in the end with the bowling, we kind of settled the nerves, pull it back as much as we could, made the game competitive. So yeah, that's it.
Yes, Bobby, and Roger touched on positive there. One of the questions that Powell was asked, and I just going through a few of the questions that he was asked. I cannot go through all of them, but one of the questions that he was asked was, what were the positive that he would have taken from this tournament? What's your response?
I think
Positive.
not just this tournament, but the cricket that we have played over the last 12 months. You know, to take 12 months to move from number 9 in the world to number 3 in the ICC ranking is an absolutely amazing jump. You know, it's for us as a team to continue working. It's for us as a team to stay still close knitted, and it's for us as a team to just keep on building. You know, as you say, 24 months time, we have another shot of the World Cup. Hopefully, guys here can continue playing and doing well in international cricket and franchise cricket. And when that time comes, we'll have the same core of players trying to win a World Cup for the Caribbean.
Yes, Bob. Yes, Bobby. How do you respond? And welcome to the show, Dwight. Bobby, how you respond?
That's the exactly way how I see it too, you know, because like he said, when he took over a year ago, we jumped from 9 to number 3, and we have did very well in some bilaterals. We've did good. We have done good in this World Cup. Maybe a bit of bad luck, but I've seen, like I said, I've seen so much changes over the past year in this team, and you know, we'll be looking forward. We know some fresh faces are coming in. I think Darren Sammy is doing a good job with the team. So we're looking for better results in the future.
Okay, Dwight, you have joined us late. Did you hear that clipping from Ravman Poyle just now?
I'm familiar with the clipping. I think it's a clipping that he mentioned that we have moved I think he said from 9 to 3rd in a year, and he's happy with the growth that he has seen in the team. That's the clip, right?
Yes, man.
Yeah, I totally agree with Powell. I think the team has shown tremendous growth over the years, and we are disappointed now in the aftermath of not going through to semifinals. But I think the team actually exceeded expectations in terms of the level at which we expected them to play. It is disappointing the way that we got out, because we thought after seeing the team play that we definitely had the potential to at the very least go through to the semifinals. But the team has definitely shown tremendous growth, and it augurs well for the future. We are very buoyant now coming out of that World Cup, and for the next World Cup, I think most of us will be going into that World Cup with expectations of doing real damage.
Roger, what were the positives that you take away from the World Cup, and was Powell spot on?
Yeah, I think so. You know, like I said, overall, yes, there were missed opportunities. Yes, we saw where, you know, we could have, you know, maybe squeezed a little bit more out of this tournament. But overall, we have to give credit to the team. We have to give credit to Darren Sammy and Ravman Powell and the improvements that we've seen over the last year. One of the things I particularly liked was to see the support from the Caribbean people, and people, you know, falling in love, I would say, with West Indies cricket again. And I hope it continues. I hope, you know, obviously we had this home World Cup that would have galvanized the people of the Caribbean, and we see what sort of a positive effect that can have on the guys. So I hope that's something that continues, and you know, hopefully, you know, that will help us going forward.
Yes, thank you. And I want to make a point here. One of the things that I can never understand is that when persons give their opinion, and I'm talking about Johnson Charles here, when persons were saying that Johnson Charles should not play in the last match, persons were coming out and said people don't like Johnson Charles and all negative things. But I was in Trinidad and saw Johnson Charles drop 2 catches on the mid-wicket boundary. And those Trinidadians behind Johnson Charles, thousands of them rallied Johnson Charles and lift his spirit. And I cannot understand why some people will think that we want to separate the Caribbean. I was there, I saw it, thousands of Trinidadians rallying Johnson Charles. And as you said, Roger, it is building up good vibes in the Caribbean. Andre, Powell was asked about what he's doing to help West Indies cricket going forward. And this is what Powell said in his response.
case for me as a captain to continue to motivate guys to play for West Indies. You know, the driving force of franchise cricket and the money that comes with franchise cricket make it always difficult to West Indies in a small board to field their best team, you know. But I think it's been good so far for the last year or two, you know, and hopefully guys can always and will mainly choose to play for West Indies. You know, there's a buzz around the region now in playing for West Indies, so hopefully that continues. Hopefully we continue on the right path.
Andre, how do you respond to what Powell have just said there now?
Yeah, well, I mean, what if Powell? That's really commendable coming from Powell. You know, because I mean, he knows how important it is for West Indies. In order for us to do pretty well at the international level, persons will need to, you know, make themselves available whenever we have bilateral series. You know, because that is the only way we're gonna have team chemistry, team unity, and I mean that is the only way we're gonna grow. So as best as possible, persons he's saying that persons need to make themselves available, which I totally endorse. You know, I agree with that. So I very much commend Paul for saying such a thing.
Okay, thank you very much. Bobby, how do you respond to that one?
Great coming from the skip. I love it. You know, I hope he stick to it 100%. I've been calling for a captain like this to do something like this because, like Andre said, this is the only way we're gonna get better. We cannot have some guys available for half of the year and then we don't see them. How we gonna build team chemistry? You know, and this is what the people of the Caribbean want, and the Caribbean will support Ravman Paul behind this type of move. So this is what the team needs. We need a captain like this in all three formats.
Your turn, Dwight.
This is what we want to hear. Whether or not it will happen is going to be interesting. What we have had over the last year is a situation where we had to run up to a World Cup, something where the entire world will be looking at. And it was in the interest of all these franchise players to represent the West Indies and to be available and to make the team. So they did what was necessary because there was a World Cup coming up. What we'll see over the next year is going to be interesting. Will we see guys refusing to play because they want to go and play in franchise cricket leagues that will clash around the world? That is when I'll be able to say whether or not Powell is true to his word in being there, leading by example, and geeing up guys to represent it. I guess he doesn't have a choice. He's a captain, but getting guys to come out and represent. I'm going to watch the situation closely because I don't think we can use a World Cup to determine whether or not these guys have made a clear decision to make international cricket a priority, unlike what I've seen them that they've been doing over the years.
Raja, let's hear your views.
I'm with Dwight there. To be honest, again, leading up to a home World Cup, everyone was motivated. It's not going to be just up to Captain Ravman Powell. I think Darren Sammy has a huge part to play. All the sort of senior players, the more popular, franchise players, all of these guys have to really get together in terms of galvanizing each other and really creating a bit of a culture shift across the entire setup, not just the team, not just the 15 guys that play in this World Cup, but across sort of the region and really imposing on everyone the importance of representing West Indies cricket and what it means to everyone. So there has to be that sort of major culture shift. I saw today where Kane Williamson, turned down a central contract in New Zealand. But based on the words of Kane Williamson and based on what I've seen from Trent Bolt and these guys, I still think representing New Zealand is a priority for these guys, even if they're not accepting these central contracts. I think for West Indies, we need that culture shift, and we want everyone to be on the same page.
Sticking with you, Raja, and I hope we'll get a short answer this time. Do you think it is time for West Indies to move on from certain players? Eloise Gomes have listed a number of players here, but I don't necessarily want to list players. But do you think that it's time that we move on from some players?
I think we have a good core, and a lot of these players are young enough that could, it's T20 cricket, and a lot of these guys play until into their late 30s. So a lot of these guys we're going to still have a round. But yes, there are maybe 2 or 3 players that we can move on from. But I think the majority of this team, can compete with in the next World Cup.
Dwight, your view on it?
I've always been a person who believed that at the international cricket level, players should force themselves into the reckoning rather than a decision necessarily being taken to move away from them. I'd like to see young players present themselves to the board through the CPL or through some of these franchise cricket tournaments. But to be honest, I do not expect wholesale changes. There may be 2 names that I might have in mind who I think chances are we may be looking beyond, but I don't expect wholesale changes. And I really think that it's up to the younger players to present themselves and announce themselves to us rather than for there to be any shift away from who we have right now.
Yeah, Bobby, do you agree with that? Because I also agree that persons need to earn their place in the West Indies team, and you do not play in the West Indies team just because you are young, but you need to perform to play in the West Indies team. Bobby? You're mute, Bobby. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, most definitely. You have to earn your spot. This is allied cricket. This is not fun cricket. You must earn your spot to be there at the table. So, yeah, I don't believe in just putting guys there because they're young. They have to knock on the door. They have to put up the numbers.
And Andre, how crucial is it now that we really have this T20 tournament in the Caribbean apart from the CPL?
It's very, very important because that a tournament, I mean, apart from the CPL, will allow the younger players to actually gain the necessary experience. It will give them that sort of footing, so that they can learn before they advance to the CPL, which is far more advanced. So having a tournament, apart from the CPL, is very, very important in particular for the younger players.
Yeah, thank you. Gentlemen, I saw a comment whizzed by earlier. I don't know where to find it now, but I think it was from Gerard Mead or someone who was saying that the West Indies did not play a single match, never play a T20 match at Sir Viv Richards. Yet still they went there to play against South Africa, who actually played there before them. The person was saying, in our history, is that true that we have never yet played a T20 at Sir Viv?
I can't recall, but I don't think so. Have we? Have we not?
I don't know. Do I? Is it true?
I'm not sure, but even if it's true, for a World Cup like this, I could easily see the people of Antigua getting ready to block roads if they were not able to host a single game from the West Indies, by the West Indies. I just could not have seen the World Cup going forward without Antigua getting a game. So even
not that Antigua didn't get a game, is that this was the first time West Indies is playing a T20 match at Sir Vivian Richards Oval.
I heard the question and I said I'm not sure if it's true, but if it's true, I don't think it's relevant. If we have never played, remember, I mean, there's a bidding system that's in place now in terms of how games are given up based on for bilaterals and stuff. But even if it's true that they have never played a T20 in Antigua, let's take it for a fact that it's true. I don't think when they were doing the scheduling that Antigua would have countenanced a situation where they did not get any game at all by the West Indies. They would find that to be very, very poor.
Yeah, you said something just now, and I don't know if this is, maybe I should have, yes, I don't know if it is related. Okay, let's move on to the player ratings, gentlemen. Now, I don't think I should say it, but there was an incident in Antigua. There was an incident in Antigua. Probably the Antiguan government will respond to it in due time, but there was an incident, but it's probably is that for me to say. So we're going to go to the player ratings, and we are inviting those in the community, in the chat, to also rate the players. Do not go ahead of us. If we are going to start with Puran. So don't start rating Charles and Mayers and all of those. Give your ratings right now in the community for Puran. Puran 228 runs, highest score 98, which incidentally is still the highest score in the tournament. He averaged 38, a strike rate of 146. He dropped a number of catches behind the stump. He let through a number of buys, especially in critical situations. Starting with you, Bobby, what rating do you give Puran?
I gotta give Puran a 7. I feel
You give
like his
Puran a
batting, yeah, his batting was good in some of the games. He fell off in a couple of the games, but his wicket keeping was horrendous. So I gotta give him a 7.
okay. Raja, what you give Puran?
I think a 7 is fair. Again, for the most part, he performed with the bat. Obviously, there were a couple of inexplicable failures in between where he played ill-advised shots. His wicket keeping was below par at times and good at other times. So I think a 7 is a fair rating for Puran.
Andre Puran. Sorry.
Puran
Go
played
ahead.
some 6. He played a few big innings, but I don't think he came up at the critical stages. When I expected him to play at the critical stages, I don't think he showed up. So I would not give him more than a 6. And his wicket keeping was very poor for the most part.
Dwight.
I'm giving him a 7 as well. I had him down to get a 9 for his batting. I know everybody will say, "Oh, we wanted him to show up big," but I think that he played the role that he was asked to play, and he amassed a lot of runs. And like everybody else, I was very, very disappointed with his wicket keeping. I gave him a 6 for his wicket keeping. Just waiting both of them, I give him a 7 all in all.
Okay, so Mikel is giving him a 7. Jay is giving him a 7. Fidel da Silva 7. Eloise 5. Leon King is giving him a 5. The champion is giving him 7.5. Marie Fagan is giving him 5. G. Williams 5. So generally the score for Puran, Nilo Alexander is giving him a 7. Is that is the score for Puran? We all agree somewhere between 5 and 7. I personally am giving him a 6. So let us now look at, and this surprised me when I look at the numbers. Johnson Charles is a 17th leading run scorer in the tournament. The West Indies second. He's second on the West Indies table, but I think that strike rate of 113 was what really, have persons really wanting him out of the team where there was this big discussion. But overall, he was second on the West Indies table. Let's start with you this time, Dwight, and go the other way.
I'm giving John Charles a 4. I'm giving John Charles a 4. I thought that for an opener and for somebody who we're expecting in a couple of games to bat well through the innings and things, he just didn't show up for a lot of the games. Apart from the game, I think at his home ground, he didn't show up for most of the games, and he just didn't function and play the role that we expected of him. To end up with a strike rate of 113 was just absolutely poor. I mean, we know Charles as somebody who's fairly aggressive. I just think he didn't play the role that he was required to do, and he was a frustrating figure for me when you pile on his fielding on top of all of that. So for me, he got a 4.
Andre, what's Johnson Charles?
Yeah, I too give him a 4. Johnson Charles was very, very poor. Johnson Charles, I thought that he just batted, tried to make some score just to keep his place for the next game. Every time you get that feeling, and a strike rate of 113, he really affected the team by staying so long and not producing goods in terms of the strike rate.
Okay, thank you, Andre. I will come to Roger and Bobby for the next person. I'm just gonna take the score in the chat right now. So I'm just trying to speed it up. So Error is saying that Johnson is a 5. Marie Fagan is saying 5. The champion is saying 5. 5. Jay saying 5. Nilo Alexander is saying 5. Anderson Born is saying 4. And Eso is saying 3.9. G. Williams is saying 3. Crystal is saying 4. Jake Glasgow is saying 5. Mud Price saying 4. So persons weren't really happy with Charles. And we are coming to you now, Bobby and Tracy, Roger Tracy. Shepard finished 26th, 21 runs, highest score 68, strike rate of 147.56. Roger Tracy, what do you give Rutherford?
I would give Rutherford a 5.5. I think he had a creditable tournament. I think,
I'm not hearing. There's some disturbance. Go again for me, please.
yeah, I would give Rutherford a 5.5. He obviously had that one great knock against New Zealand, which accounted for maybe 60% of his runs. Yes, there were a couple of games, including the last game, where he showed sort of poor adaptability to spin. But I think overall, he coming in at number 6, that is not going to be a position where you expect great consistency. His average of 40 showed he had a few not outs. But I think strike rate 147. I would give him a 5.5.
Bobby?
I'm gonna give him a 6, and just for that one great knock over there in Trinidad. But I'm gonna give him a 6. But I felt like maybe he didn't get as much opportunity to bat long, and most of the time when he came in, he had to either do a repairing job or consolidate for a bit. So I'm gonna give him a 6.
Matt Price giving him an 8, which is the highest score so far, and he's pointed out, maybe concur with the point you made, Bobby, that he didn't get enough opportunity. Jake Glasgow is giving him a 6. Murray Fagan 5. A-Word is giving him a 6. Rutherford did. Eloise Grumps is giving him a 5. Rutherford a 6. That's Curtis giving him a 6. Very interesting here. G. Williams 6, Anderson Bourne 6, Rutter, the champion 6, Nilo Alexander 7. Nilo Alexander is saying that we surprised that you did not give Charles a 0. So 6 for Rutherford from Concordem, Rommel Watkins 6. Okay, so now we go to the next player that we go, and this one is for Dwight and our commentator Andre. So the next person is Hope, which is 23rd on the batting list. 107 runs, 82 not out is highest score, 53 average, 187.71. Let's start with you, Dwight.
It's hard not to give Hope a 9.5. I mean, to make the sort of runs that you did, yeah, you fail in the other match, but that's cricket. Players don't score runs in every game. It's hard not to give Hope a 9.5, both for the runs that he made and for the strike and the strike rate at which he got them.
What do you say, Andre?
I gave Hope 8.5. I thought that he played a pretty good innings against USA, and that was so critical for us with the strike rate. So he must be commended for that. He didn't do well in the last game, but overall 8.5 is good for him.
Okay, thank you very much, Andre. And let me see what they are saying in the chat. Fidel da Silva gave him an 8. Matt Pryor gave him 7.5. The champion gave him 8. Eloise Gomes 7.5. Hope for Concrum them. Hope gets an 8. Mikel gave him a 7. A word gave him a 6. Peter Gruff gave him a 6. Crystal gave him a 7. Crystal is always here. Hope. Kurt Amud is giving Hope a 7. We see Murray Fagan give him a 8. Here is Nita giving him a 9, and Nilo Alexander also giving him a 9. Do you agree with that, Roger Tracy? Did Hope deserve a 9?
Yeah, he's somewhere there. I think somewhere around 8.5 to 9 is what, where I would have Hope. His batting was excellent, except for that one game that he failed. And also, having watched his press conference, I liked a lot of things he had to say in terms of, just being ready. He understood the reasons why he wasn't playing. And he basically sort of talked up that, squad mentality, which is what I'd like to see, permeate across the entire squad. So I think overall, he did what was expected.
This is very disappointing for me now. Ravman Powell was ranked 35th among the batsmen at the World Cup. 35th. And this is one of the reasons why we probably lost the tournament. Ravman Powell coming in at 35th. 102 runs, 36 average. I score 36, strike average 17, and a strike rate of 143. Bobby, what are your thoughts?
Very poor from the skipper. I didn't expect this. I thought he would have had one of his best tournaments. But that's cricket. But it was very poor batting from Powell. But
Okay.
so do you want me to rate him?
Yeah, man.
So
Yeah, everybody's.
yeah, so I'm gonna give Powell a 4. His batting was
Roger, how
just
much you
too
give
poor.
him?
Yeah, 4. I think Powell's performance was woeful. Leading into the World Cup, he was one of our leading batsmen over the last year. Scored runs in bilateral series, but he failed almost every time we needed him in a critical situation. He made runs in a game where everyone made runs against Afghanistan. But whenever we needed Powell to step up, he just did not come to the fore. So, in fact, I'm going to go 3.5.
Okay, Fidel da Silva gave him a 2. Jay gave him a 4. Conquer them gave him a 3. Matt Pryor gave him a 4. The champion gave him a 4. Crystal gave him a 5. Marie Fagan gave him a 4. Eso gave him a 2. Christopher Bristol, our friend, the legend, gave him 1.5. Eloise Gomes gave him 5. He said that his captaincy bring him up to 5. She's saying that. Niall Alexander give him a 5 out of 10. Jake Glasgow give him a 4.5. Mikel gave him a 4. Nita gave Powell a 5. The next person we are going to look at now is Ruston Chase. Gentlemen, Ruston Chase, 44th in the batting, 26th in the bowling. 94 runs, top score 52, average 47. It means he never batted a lot. He just batted twice, or he got out twice. He got 7 wickets at 11.42 with a strike rate getting a wicket every 13 deliveries. Dwight, your reaction to Ruston Chase and his numbers?
Man, Chase was 9.8 for me. I mean,
All
what
right,
more from Ruston Chase? Amazing economy rate, getting wickets, figuring importantly in important games, both with the ball and with the bat, turning up and making runs and trying to be the backbone of the team. Very good strike rate. I mean, Ruston Chase is 9.8, and nobody should say anything to Chase.
All right. Yes, Andre, you agree?
I can't disagree with much what Dwight said. Ruston Chase was almost perfect. And Ruston Chase is without doubt the man of the series for the West Indies. So 9.8 is a very, very good score for Ruston Chase. He performed admirably well. Well done to him.
Okay. Bobby, score for him. Just give me a score for him, Bobby.
9. The only reason why I don't give him a
Will your
10.
score, Roger?
I'll give him a 10. The much more, much more
Thank
line.
you.
Okay.
Fidel is giving him a 10. I remember at the tournament, at the start of the tournament, even before the tournament started, I came under so much pressure for Chase. One person in particular asked me how much Chase is paying me. So I'm glad to see that everyone is now giving Chase his due. And so 8.6 from Esso. Earl Thomas is saying 9. Athena is saying 10. Rommel Watkins saying 9. The Trill Chase, you need to give him a number. A Ward is saying 9. So everyone is giving Chase somewhere between 9 and 10. This is terrific. And here is Daniel saying 9.9. Dwight, you said 9.9. Okay. Nilo Alexander saying 10 and said, so those were the score. Chase 9. Navinja Singh is saying 9. So most persons are giving him anywhere between 9 and 10. And that is lovely from Chase. Very, very interesting there. Brandon King now for you, Roger.
Yeah, slow start to the tournament. I think he got injured at the wrong time when he looked to be coming into his own. Brandon King has been one of the better players for Westerners over the last year, but this tournament, I think he fell short. For Brandon, I'll give him a 4.5.
Bobby, Brandon King for you.
I'm gonna give King a 5. I thought he was poor. Looked like he was catching some form, and he got hurt. But I'll give him a 5.
Okay. How much would you give him, Andre, just to score?
I'll give him a 4.5.
Thank you. Dwight, how much would you give him just to score?
4.
All right, thank you very much. The next analysts are come to Dwight and Andre. So here is the chat. Matt Price saying 4 for King. Mikel is saying 6. Eloise is saying 3. Wow, the champion have him at 7.5. Interesting. Wow. Fidel Da Silva is saying that he's ungraded. Very interesting. Is he ungraded? One comment from, give me a comment, Bobby. Is King ungraded?
No, he played enough matches. He only missed, 2 matches. He played enough
Thank you.
matches.
Jay is saying that 5 for him. Niall Alexander is saying 6. Christopher Bristol is saying 2.3. The Trill is saying 6.5. Conquering them is saying that King get a solid 6.5. Marie Fagan said 5. Nita King said 6. So this is lovely. This is lovely. I think that, do you think that they are reflecting a fear, getting it Dwight, do you think that the chat is reflecting a fear assessment of the players?
Of the players of King.
No, generally, the numbers that you are getting out of the chat.
The numbers are up and down. I agree with some. I don't agree with some of the others. But I think a fair bit are, I think, in the range in which we are thinking as well. You're always going to get somebody put in something that King got 7.5. You're going to get somebody like that.
Yeah, yes, thank you very much. And Crystal View is saying that she will give King a 5. SO said 5. Roger Benito, welcome to the show. 5 is giving King. Unknown is giving him a 4.5. All right, the next player here is Andre Russell. Give us your assessment on Andre Russell, Dwight.
Man, I liked Andre Russell from a bowling point of view, from a batting point of view. I thought Andre Russell disappointed me a bit. I was expecting a bit more from him. I didn't think he turned up the way that I expected him in several games. He was like hovering at somewhere like at a 6 or 5, somewhere in between right there in his batting. But I thought his bowling was quite good. I thought he bowled like an 8 to an 8.5. So I guess overall, I'd give Russell somewhere around a 7.5.
Okay, 7.5. Andre, how much you giving Russell?
I'll give him a 6.5 as for his overall performance, because I thought he bowled pretty well for the most part. He really disappointed in the batting. As a senior pro and as one who have done it twice for us in terms of winning the cup, his batting should have stood up a lot more. And in very critical moments, he was so disappointing in that regard.
The number, Bobby, and the number, Roger?
7.
7. Roger?
Same. I go with a 7 as well.
Fidel Da Silva is saying 5.5, and Matt Price saying 6. Romel Watkins is saying 6. Niall Alexander is saying 8. And Roger, is 8 too high?
For sure. You can't fault Russell for his effort. I think he put in, yeoman's, huge effort at this World Cup. You could see that he was much fitter than usual. You could see he played his heart out. You could see how disappointed he was when he got out. But unfortunately, especially...
Okay, sorry, I thought you were finished. Mikel giving him 6, the Trill giving him 4. Yes, Eloise also giving him 6. So more than one. The champion giving him 7.5. Christopher Bristol giving him 2. Bobby's 2 too low?
2 is way too low. Reform way better than that.
Yeah, Marie Fagan 7. Nita 6. Russell, SOS saying Russell 5. A-Word is saying 5. Athena 5. Conquer Them is saying 6.5. Donovan Ferguson is saying 9. Very impressive. He's impressed by Russell. Roger Benito is saying 5. The next person we'll come to is Joseph. Your guy, Roger Tracy. Tell us about Joseph now. 13 wickets at 13.6 apiece, getting a wicket every 2 overs. Tell us about him.
I think Joseph performed creditably for the most part. I think he had a couple of disappointing, patches of play. But I think overall for effort and for his overall record, I would give Joseph a 7.5.
I'll come to you next, Bobby, but let me see what they have here for Joseph. Matt Price saying that Joseph 8. Fidel Da Silva is saying 8. Conquer Them is saying 8. Christopher Bristol is saying 8. Mikel is saying 7. The Trill is saying 7.5. Nita is saying 8.5. Romel Watkins. And so the champion is also saying 8. SO is saying 7. Niall Alexander is saying 6. Bobby Hussein, 9 wickets at 15.66, getting a wicket every 3 overs. What you thought?
7. I'm gonna give him a 7. I think when we needed him in a couple of games, we didn't see him. I think a solid 7 is good for him.
Dwight, Joseph.
You said Joseph or Hussein?
Oh, sorry, Hussein. Sorry.
You know, I disagree. I know he didn't show up in a couple of games, but I think overall Hussein wasn't bad at all. Even for games that he didn't show up in terms of the wickets columns, I didn't think he was bad in terms of his economical rate. For me, he's at an 8.
Okay, thank you very much. And Donovan Ferguson is saying 7.5. Afi Eso is saying 7. The Trill is saying 6.5. Marie Fagan thinks it's a 7. Matt Pryor think it's a 8. Wow. Conquer them think it's a 7. A-Word think it's a 8. Nilo Alexander think it's a 7. The champion think it's a 8. Romel Watkins think it's a 7. So there are some of the persons who are grading. I want to apologize if I don't take all of your grade, but as you see, I'm trying to go through as fast as possible. So continue to put your grade in the chats and put them early in. Gudakesh Moti, Andre Russell. Andre, what do you think of Gudakesh Moti?
I mean, I'll give Gudakesh Moti 7.5. Now, the reason Gudakesh Moti, he did pretty well on pitches that offered something for him. Pitches that offered a little bit of spin. You know, he did pretty well. But when there wasn't anything in the pitch for him, I thought he was a little bit disappointed. Hence the reason why he has not got more than the 7.5.
Bobby, give us your thoughts and your score for Moti.
Moti, I gotta give Moti a 9. I think the last game was a bit harsh for him. The ball was wet, couldn't control the ball much. I see a lot of people cursing him out, but I think Moti was bowled really well. I thought when we were in trouble, we could just call Moti. He was like the silver bullet. He would slow down the scoring, get us some wickets. So I'm gonna say 9.
Okay. Roger, your views and numbers on Moti?
I'd go 8. I think he was excellent for the tournaments. For the tournament, you would expect, here or there in T20 cricket, a guy is probably gonna, have one bad spell or go for runs. But I think overall, all the spinners, I think, really put a hold on things for the West Indies and took wickets, and they were there when we called. So I think at 8 for Gudakesh Moti.
Dwight, your analyst and number for Moti?
I think he was a 7 for me. I expected a bit more from Moti. I expected him to really be a lot more in the tournament than he eventually did. Maybe people will think I'm grading him down because I was a bit disappointed that he didn't do a lot more. But I don't think maybe, as some people said, the condition in terms of the surface being it being wet, the ball being wet and difficult to grip at sometimes maybe affected him. But he didn't show up enough for me, and for me, it was a 7.
Thank you very much. Majority of the persons, Nilo Alexander, conquering them, Marie Fagan, Athena, they're all giving Moti somewhere between 7 and 8 and 9. So there's a lot of numbers there. So Moti G. Williams is saying 7. SO is making a comment, but it was a score that we're really looking for. Now we come to Obed McCoy. Andre, take it away from us, please, for Obed McCoy.
Oh, my goodness. To be honest, I cannot give Obed more than a 2 to be fair to Obed, because no, sorry, I have to give him. I'm sorry. I remember he got an outstanding game. I give him a 3.5 for the outstanding performance. But apart from that outstanding performance, he was rather poor. And when it was time for him to show up, man, he was awful. So he cannot get more than 3.5.
Thank you, Andre. Bobby, Obed McCoy.
I think Andre is harsh on Obed McCoy, even though he wasn't whatever I picked. I'm gonna give him a 4. I think he did excellent in one game. Was a dead rubber game, the game that we needed him the most. He didn't do so well, but I'm giving him a 4.
Roger, Obed McCoy, your comments and number.
I think Obed McCoy for me gets a 2. He picked up 3 wickets against Afghanistan, but as I've said before, Afghanistan does not have batting depth, and he picked up a lot of those wickets after the openers fell. Right, guys like Nabi and a couple of other guys in a game where there was no pressure and a game that really meant nothing. I think in both games where we expected something from Obed, he was woeful. He was also very slow in the outfield. I give him a 2.
Dwight, Obed McCoy. I want to hear your views. Obed McCoy first over against England win for 6. Was it England? Or was it? All right, go ahead. Go ahead, Dwight. Because I know you're a fan of Obed McCoy. So the floor is yours. The floor is yours, Dwight. Go ahead.
I'm very,
Go
very,
ahead,
very.
Dwight. Defend Obed McCoy.
Sorry, could you repeat that? Yeah, we're talking about McCoy, right?
Yes. I said, I know you're a fan of Obed McCoy, so I'm giving you the floor to go ahead and defend him.
I'm very hurt with how Obed performed over the tournament. Everybody know that I was a big fan of Obed's inclusion in the team. I was pushing for him to be included. I'd said that, yeah, he had disappointed over the past couple of years, but I thought that he was coming back to his best. I thought that this player was a player that had so much range to his game. He could bowl early, he could bowl late in the death. He had variation and everything. And Obed McCoy just went to the World Cup and just didn't show up. I'm so disappointed. He showed up in one game, which was the Afghanistan game. And then just I'm flattered to deceive. I mean, I don't understand it. I mean, seeing the captain giving the ball to Obed, some of the times you just expected things to go downhill, and they did. So Obed didn't get more than a 3.5 for me. I didn't want it to be personal and to give him a 3, but I really thought Obed McCoy underperformed and did not do himself justice in this tournament.
Thank you very much. And most of the chat agree, as you saw put the score up on the screen while you were talking. Generally, and there's G. Williams giving him a 1. Now, Shamar Joseph and Etmire did not play, but Shepherd did play a few games. Gentlemen, I don't think there's much to say about Shepherd more than to say that he was very disappointing. His performance was very disappointing. I probably give him a 4. How much would you give him, Bobby?
I give him a 4 too. Coming into this competition, I was looking for Shepherd to take it over. He was disappointing to me, so a 4.
Roger?
Yeah, I mean 3.5. He didn't get a lot of opportunities to bat, and when he did, we didn't see a lot. We saw glimpses. I think he may have had one decent spell in the tournament, and then a few poor ones. So I would say 3.5 for Romari Shepherd.
Dwight?
Shepherd gets a 4 for me, and he gets a 4 just because Obed McCoy was worse, and he gets a 3.5. But Shepherd just didn't bring it either. We were expecting him to be that killer with the bat, that silent killer with the bat that we first came to know him as. And then we were expecting him to be very useful in the death as well. And he didn't do that. He didn't do any of that. So for me, Shepherd more than a 4. And he's just hanging on to a 4 because Obed McCoy was worse than him and he has a 3.5.
And Andre, how much would you give Obed McCoy?
I mean, Shepherd.
Shepherd, sorry, yes.
I would give Shepherd a 3. I can't remember anything outstanding that Shepherd did. So at least Obed did at least one outstanding thing. But Shepherd didn't do anything outstanding. So there's no way I could rate Shepherd over Obed McCoy. Shepherd gets a 3.
Okay. Okay. So that's a general thing. I see Nilo Alexander giving him 6, but conquering them give him 3. Award give him 3. Eloise gave him 2. Shepherd Murray Fagan gave 3. Matt Pryor 2.5. SO 3.8. The champion 4.5. So it's generally in that ballpark between 3 and 4.5, although somebody gave him 1 and somebody gave him 7. Andre, earlier you preempt the show, which was not good, by naming Chase as your player of the tournament. So I'm not going to come to you. I'm going to go to the rest of the players. Let's start with Bobby. Bobby, who is your player of the tournament and why?
He has to be Chase. He was the best player in pretty much every game. I couldn't remember a game that Chase didn't perform. I'm trying to think, but probably that game where he threw up his hands, gave away his wicket. But other than that, Chase was the driving force. So I have to say Chase.
All right, Roger, who's your player of the match, player of the series, and why?
It has to be Roston Chase. The much maligned Roston Chase exceeded expectations constantly throughout the tournament. He did it with bat by winning the first game when we were in some bother against Uganda. And right for the tournament, he bowled well. He batted when he got, sort of his limited opportunities. And he fielded brilliantly at point. I think Chase for me is undoubtedly the West Indies player of the tournament.
Thank you very much. Dwight, who is your player of the tournament and why? Sorry about that. Come in, Dwight. Just a minute, Dwight. Go ahead now. Go ahead, Dwight. Go ahead.
Why are you asking answers? It must be Ross Sanchez. He was absolutely superb during the tournament, both with bat and with ball. I think the only game I can remember him disappointing from the batting point of view was that the New Zealand game? Thinking that was the New Zealand game. He didn't factor much on the bowling side, I think, on that game. But I think even in that game, he just gave up like very little run in the one over a ball.
4 runs in the one over.
Thank you very much. Yeah, thanks. That's it. So that was the only game you can say that you didn't see him just doing real damage. But he was superb, absolutely superb. Definitely the player of the tournament.
Yeah, so Fidel Edwards is saying Chase is the player of the tournament. Conquer Them is saying that's an easy one. Chase. Mikkel said Chase. SO said Chase. Everybody here in the comment is saying Chase. The champion is saying Chase. Everyone is saying Niall Alexander, I'm not going to put that on the screen because I think you are joking. There's no way you could Niall Alexander. No, I won't even read that Niall Alexander. Gentlemen, this is what Niall Alexander said. Do you? Yeah. So yes, man. So it could be. Michael is saying, gentlemen, what next? The next World Cup is 24 months away. We heard the captain spoke about it. Andre, let's go around and tell us what next and give us your final comment. We're here quite a while now.
Yes, I mean, we just hope that these players, the core of the team, that they keep on working at the game, represent West Indies, represent them as best as possible. Every time we have a T20 tournament, we have a T20 series, that they make themselves available as best as they can, because that's the only way we're going to improve as a team and, keep on working hard at the game. So once they do that and we maintain the core group, I think we should be in good setting for the next World Cup.
Thank you very much, Andre. Dwight, what next for the West Indies? What you see going forward?
I see a lot of work that needs to be done. I think the work that Darren Sammy has done over the past year has been commendable. Absolutely wonderful work in what he has done with the team. And I think there's just more work to be done. Better understanding of the roles that players are required to play. Being able to find bowlers who can step in and do match winners and to take wickets when we need them and defend the score that we have on the board. Being able to power more boundaries out of those middle overs. It doesn't have to be sixes, but being able to really drive some more boundaries out of those. Being able to remain calm when things get intense, because I think that's one of the weaknesses of this team, where if they should lose a couple of wickets, they tend to panic and they tend to worry and they tend to forget that there's still a lot of time left in the game and they just need to consolidate, not worry about the dot balls, not worry about Ian Bishop telling them stuff in their ears, not worry about the run rate, just consolidate, keep your wickets together, and you can launch again in a few overs. That's what I'm expecting to see this team do over the next year.
Thank you very much, Dwight. And Roger Tracy, Dwight said a lot there. Do you agree with his theory? Do you agree with his reasoning? What do you see going forward?
I agree with some of what Dwight said. I think overall there is a lot to be done. I think we need to have continued growth of our players in terms of understanding game situation and just being game aware and how to approach certain situations. We still have a lot of work to do on our bowling. This tournament, we bowled a lot in friendly bowling conditions. So obviously our bowling, looked, okay. But going forward, I mean, we're going to play a lot in conditions that are, batting friendly. So we need to do a lot of work there. I think Obed McCoy is not where he should be, not where he used to be, as far as we can see that a lot of his variations, his slower balls, his back of the arm stuff, that stuff is not there, where it used to be. There's someone like Shamar Joseph who we need to groom. We need to get him some game experience, and hopefully we can get something good there. As far as our approach to batting and the dot ball issue that Shatu mentioned, certainly, it's my belief that we need to score off more balls. We're known as a boundary hitting team, and we should continue to hit boundaries. We should continue to play with a certain level of aggression. We do need to score off more deliveries. I don't necessarily subscribe to the theory of continuously looking for more singles. I don't want to make singles sort of more important than they really are, but we just need to score off more deliveries, whether it's boundaries or whether it's rotating the strike. Whatever it is, we have to score off more deliveries. There's no way we can score off, or we can have 55 to 60 dot balls consistently. We're never going to be India. We're never going to have 30 dot balls. But if we could cut that down to, let's say, 42 or 41, I think we'll be in good stead.
Thank you very much, Roger. Bobby, what the way going forward?
Yes,
And just before you answer that, Alf Brown is saying that the team got a 10 for a hype and a 4 for effort. But let's react to that and tell us the way going forward.
Well, I believe the hype is 10 here, but the effort is 7. We did definitely better than average, so we have to get a 7.
Yes,
And so now going forward, what I want to see from the skipper and the coach, I want them to continue to do what they're doing, working hard the same way, stick to their method. I don't want to see the coach. I think the coach was forced by the media and the public to make a change. I think he have to stick with his method, whatever he's working on, because we don't know. And it has been working, and we want to see more growth over the next few years, and also in the ODI team. But from a West Indies standpoint, CWI, what I want them to do is continue to do the work. The same PR that they use for this tournament, I want to see that in bilaterals. That's the only way they're going to bring back cricket, because there's a lot more people been involved in this World Cup. A lot of people are saying, cricket is making a comeback. So I want to see Cricket West Indies use this same momentum to push forward bilaterals so we can make West Indies great again.
Thank you very much. There's one question that I want to ask at the end here, and I didn't quite understand. Shamar Joseph was named in the 15-man squad ahead of Obed McCoy. Yet still, Obed McCoy was drafted into the squad and start ahead of Shamar Joseph. Well, is it that when you selected Shamar Joseph, you didn't think that he was ahead of Obed McCoy? Or Obed McCoy start playing ahead of Shamar Joseph? The next question I want to ask, that final over Sunday night, who do you want to be bowling that final over? Obed McCoy, Shamar Joseph, or Jason Holder? Those would have been probably the 3 persons who would have been your choice. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Have a wonderful evening. Take care of yourself. Take care of your loved ones. See you tomorrow. Gentlemen, it was a pleasure having you here.